Good morning. Today I'm with Ralph Southern.
And he's going to tell us a little bit about why he's a Baha'i and how he became a Baha'i. And I haven't seen Ralph for a long time until this morning. We met at summer school. And it was called Prairie States then, or was it? Well, is Nebraska and
Well,
Iowa and
sometimes I
just
think there's Great Plains
Great Plains.
and then maybe
Right,
Prairie States. Or I don't remember what it's called back then.
right. We
It
were
might have even been just Nebraska summer school too. I don't know.
It might have been, but we were and back in 2000. We were just learning about the Baha'i faith, and we had just become Baha'is. No, actually, we hadn't become Baha'is yet, but we were learning about the Baha'i faith, and we were wondering, are there other Baha'is besides the few people we know? So we went to summer school, and that really opened our eyes. We met people like Ralph and many others that
Mhm.
said, "Yep, there's other Baha'is out there." So we were pretty excited. We took our kids and we went
Mhm.
back for a number of years before we left and went to Chile. And so anyway, it's nice to see you again, and I'm looking forward to our talk today. So Ralph, if you could just tell us a little about who you are, where you're at in the world, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Well, I am a retired music teacher, and I taught for almost 40 years in small schools around in Nebraska, and a few years in the Sandhills, and then the rest of the time in little towns around Hastings. From about 1979 on, I lived back in Hastings and taught school there. I retired some years ago. Um, I'm I play clarinet with the Hastings Orchestra,
Okay.
and then until recently, for almost 40 years, I was a principal clarinetist, and I've now retired from that to playing. I'm playing second clarinet. It was time to retire from the leadership to a more supporting role. And then I also am organist at two churches in Hastings here,
Well,
at
wonderful.
Saint Cecilia Catholic Church, and then at the St. Mark's Episcopal Pro Cathedral. I also
Okay.
play there.
Oh,
And then for 17 years, I've been hosting exchange students, high school kids. So I've got 30 exchange sons now,
you have a big
and
family.
I'm planning on continuing that
That's
next year. I've
awesome.
also have scheduled two new guys for next school year.
Okay, that must be
So
an awesome
that's
experience.
basically what I. Yeah, it is. It's great to have kids around, and as I said, my body's getting old, but I don't want my brain and my mind and my spirit to get old. And taking care of teenagers either will drive me crazy or keep me young, one or the other, or maybe both at the same time.
Yeah, I can understand that. Well, and playing
Yeah.
music too keeps your mind fresh, I assume. I'm not a musician,
Mm. Yeah.
but do you have any of your
Mm.
music online at all that I can go and listen to after this?
Not really. No, I
No.
don't.
Okay.
That's an idea. Maybe I could work on that.
There's another project.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, anyway, I really appreciate being with us today. And when we went to summer schools, one of the things we did is we asked people how they became a Baha'i.
Mhm.
And we heard some really interesting stories. And if I talked to you about that, it was long enough ago that I don't remember. So if you could
Mhm.
tell us a little bit about how you became a Baha'i.
Yeah. Well, it was. I went to Hastings College, and from let's see, the fall of 1969, and then I graduated with a Bachelor of Music degree in 1973. So somewhere in probably 1970 or something like that, I became aware of the faith while I was in college. And my first memory of hearing about it was actually a commercial on TV, Assembly in the United States. I'm guessing that's where it came from. And
Okay.
all I remember is they had an image of the Baha'i House of Worship, and then there were a young man and young woman kind of looking up into space or somewhere, and then the name Baha'i and Baha'u'llah. So I looked it up in the encyclopedia, and my thought then was, oh, that'd be nice if this was all true. And I don't know how old I was. I was, in 1969, 1970, somewhere. Then I became aware of Baha'is at my class, Kim and Charlotte Babcock,
Okay.
were Baha'is, and went to a lot of firesides in their apartment while we were in school. Um, and then Janet and Larry Bucknell were Baha'is at the same time about that I became a Baha'i, and who else? I might think of some other names, but those are the people that I remember from college.
All righty.
And I went to firesides in Kim and Charlotte's basement apartment, and
So for
and
those
just
people that don't know what a fireside is, I have
study and read.
a fire going upstairs,
Yeah.
but this is a little bit different. It's kind of a study session where people can learn more about the Baha'i faith or
Yeah,
have
to learn
spiritual
about,
conversations. Yeah. Okay. So it was back in the college days.
yeah, and that's what it was. And yeah, and I grew up Catholic, and I was a believing, practicing Catholic at the time, and so somewhere in I'm believing now. I don't know exact dates. I don't remember even the exact day I actually became a Baha'i. I just know about when it was, as far as time goes. But I went to St. Cecilia's Catholic Church, and it was on a weekday. There wasn't much going on. I think it might have been a Saturday afternoon, and I sat in one of the pews, kind of on the side of the church. It was next to a window of the Virgin Mary, and of course, in Catholic theology, the Virgin Mary is a big deal. So I was sitting there, and I was reading from my Baha'i prayer book that the Baha'is had given me, and praying and just asking, is this real? Is this true? Is Baha'u'llah the return of Christ? And that's where I actually made the decision. Yeah.
So
Sitting there saying those prayers.
So it was in prayer at the church. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then to test it out, the next Sunday I went to receive communion at they had a monastery at that time here that had masses on Sunday, and I went there and I received communion. And while I received, I was asking Jesus if this is true. And I received, well, no voices or anything, but just a strong feeling of, yes, this is who it is. So that's where kind of the second step of becoming a Baha'i. And then it's interesting that monastery was the Immaculate Conception Monastery, again, dedicated to Mary.
Okay.
So that's it's an interesting thing. And then, I don't even remember the actual moment of telling Baha'is in Hastings that I wanted to declare my belief, but that's when it happened. And it was somewhere in 1971 in the springtime.
Okay.
And then I became a Baha'i, and that was kind of where it was. That's the story. Kind of an addition to that story, in 2010, I went on pilgrimage to the Baha'i holy places in Haifa, Israel, and also in Akka, which is near Haifa. And there's some holy places in the city of Akka, and it was in one of the houses that Abdu'l Baha lived in, and his sister, the Greatest Holy Leaf, is her title. I can't remember her Persian title, but a strong leadership woman in the early Baha'i faith.
You're speaking of Bahia Canoe?
Bahia Canoe, yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah. And anyway, just as we entered the room that she stayed in this house, that's one of the Baha'i holy places, I very distinctly heard in my head, the Catholic hymn to Mary, "Hail, Holy Queen, Mother of Mercy." And I thought, okay, that means that
Mhm.
probably Bahia Kanum and the Virgin Mary were involved in my becoming a Baha'i somehow.
That gave me chills. Chills from head to toe.
So yeah. So
Yeah,
that's it's not like I really heard voices, but I really distinctly heard that when I walked into that room, and I thought, okay, that's just another confirmation all those years later after becoming a Baha'i that
right. That's what I was going to say. What a
that
strong
that
confirmation.
Mary, the mother of Jesus, and Bahia Kanum, the greatest holy leaf, were involved in my becoming a Baha'i somehow. So
That's awesome. Yeah.
so anyway, that's basically the story of how I became a Baha'i, and then I never felt like that I left Christianity or Catholic Christianity to be specific. Because Baha'u'llah is the fulfillment of the prophecies of Christ, and uh, and so it's maybe a fulfilled Christian.
There you go.
And so I still have respect for the Christian churches and so on. And although the theology is a little different now because of having discovered Baha'u'llah, but I became just firmly convinced and believe that Christ has returned and it's Baha'u'llah, the glory of God. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's awesome. And when you're learning about the faith and even, well, yeah, what were some of the things that intrigued you or made you want to continue learning more about it?
mhm. Well, a lot of it was the teachings, the oneness of God, oneness of religion, oneness of humanity, the what we call the three onenesses, um, was and then the belief that we need to work towards world peace. That was a big thing. So all those teachings, equality of men and women, and acceptance of all races, and just all people, no matter where they're at in their journey in life, accepting them where they're at. All those things were kept me a Baha'i, even some, because sometimes there's things I say, I don't know what I think about that. But what has kept me being a Baha'i is Baha'u'llah being the return of Christ. Anytime that I might have a doubt, I go back to that because that's the key thing
That's the key.
is um, and of course then the teachings are attractive and everything, but there's a lot of organizations that have similar teachings and beliefs and so on.
I,
So
when you,
that's why I'm still a Baha'i, because I mean I hang out with Episcopalians,
Mhm.
and they have a lot of the same attitudes that we do about acceptance of everything, and very progressive, conservative in their liturgy and very progressive in their theology. And they know I'm a Baha'i, and that's okay with them that I play organ at their church. So
Well, that's awesome.
and
Yeah. Yeah. Because they
and
can go to,
so anyway, that's just but I would say, and people say, "Oh, why aren't you an Episcopalian?" Well, because of Baha'u'llah. That he came and he is the return of Christ and the fulfillment of all those promises.
you mentioned the oneness is
So that's
the
that.
oneness of all religions and oneness of God and oneness of humanity. And ever since I became a Baha'i,
Mhm,
um, somehow I've been connected to the number 111. I used to wear a T-shirt all the time years ago that talked about the three
mhm,
onenesses, and
mhm,
and then ever since then, I kept
mhm,
seeing this number 111, and I kept thinking, is it just a coincidence? But it's been like 20 years, and I keep seeing that number 111 all the time. When we
mhm.
went to Chile, I saw it down there.
Oh, okay.
It can
Yeah,
be
yeah.
it can be on a TV commercial. It can be on a road sign, just all kinds of different places. Time on the
Mhm,
clock. I just keep seeing 111. It reminds me
Yeah.
of the oneness of all the religions and how they all came from the same God.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you sharing your story about how you became a Baha'i and why you're a Baha'i. And it was definitely good to connect with you again, even though it's through the computer. I'd love to maybe make it out your way out east part of Nebraska and see you and some of the other Baha'is that we met so long ago. But I wish you a happy Nowruz, which is the Baha'i New Year.
Well, thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Happy Nowruz to you guys.
It's coming here soon, and thanks again. And
yeah.
And I hope to see you soon sometime.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Ralph. You have a good day now.
Yeah. Good day. Yeah.